course, I loved music always. But my father told me, okay, you want to sing? You can. But before, you must study, just to have an opportunity, because if nobody then will want to listen to you.
Andrea Bocelli, the voice that made presidents weep and filled stadiums with 300,000 souls, has sung for popes, presidents, and princes across 6 continents, died at 67. This Italian tenor stands as the most commercially successful classical artist in history, with over 90 million records sold worldwide. But what the world sees, the elegant suits, the sold-out performances at Madison Square Garden and Central Park, the duets with Celine Dion and Ed Sheeran, tells only half the story. Behind the serene smile lies a journey marked not by privilege, but by devastating loss. A childhood accident that left him blind at 12 amperes. Career rejected by every major opera house in Italy. A love story that ended in heartbreaking divorce after 10 years of marriage. The tragic death of his mother, his greatest champion, just as his voice was reaching the world. And a moment in 1999 when he stood on the edge of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, contemplating whether life was worth continuing. This is not the story the record labels tell you. This is not the narrative behind the Grammy nominations and Golden Globe performances. This is the brutal truth of a man who lost his sight, lost his first love, and almost lost his will to sing. But behind the darkness lies a story not glamorous, but brutal, a testament to the power of the human voice when everything else has been taken away. If Andrea Bocelli has ever made you cry with a single note, hit like as tribute to his unbreakable spirit. This is the story of a blind boy from a Tuscan farm who was told he'd never amount to anything, who sang in piano bars for spare change, and who defied every doctor, every critic, and every limitation to become the voice of a generation. But the price he paid was higher than anyone knows. September 22, 1958, Lajatico, Italy, a village so small it barely appears on maps. Population 1,300. Alessandro Bocelli and Edie Arangiri welcomed their son into a world marked not by celebration, but by immediate crisis. The doctors were clear: congenital glaucoma. The baby would likely never see clearly. His mother refused to accept it. Edie held her son and made a promise. He would experience every color, every sunset, every face she could describe to him. The Bocelli family owned a small vineyard and farm equipment business outside Florence. Money was tight. Andrea's world was measured in textures, rough bark, cool piano keys, his mother's warm hands guiding him across the property. He could see shapes, shadows, light and dark, but the world remained a blur. At 6, his parents bought him a piano. The beginning was not glamorous, but transformative. Here was something he could master through touch and sound alone. By 8, he was learning flute, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, guitar, and drums. Music became his sight. Then came the day that changed everything. 1970. Andrea was 12 years old, playing goalkeeper in a soccer match, a routine game. A ball struck directly to his face. Brain hemorrhage. Doctors fought for hours to save his life. They succeeded, but the already fragile optic nerves couldn't survive the trauma. Complete blindness. Permanent. Forever. Edie Bocelli found her son in the hospital bed, touching his own face, trying to remember what he looked like. I will never forget the moment I realized I would never see my mother's face again, Andrea would later say. Not because I couldn't bear the darkness, but because I couldn't bear the thought of her crying for me. What few people know is that Andrea attempted to end his life twice in his teenage years. Not because of the blindness itself, but because everyone told him his dreams were impossible. Opera singers need to read music. They said they need to see conductors. They need to navigate stages. A blind tenor? Unthinkable. His mother disagreed. 1980. Andrea Bocelli, 22, enrolled in law school at the University of Pisa. His parents insisted on a practical career. Opera was a hobby, a beautiful dream, but a dream nonetheless. By day, he studied civil law. By night, he sang in piano bars across Tuscany for $30 a night, sometimes less. The money barely covered transportation, But Andrea didn't sing for money. He sang because when he opened his mouth, he could see again. Every note painted a picture his eyes couldn't. Then came 1909 to Zucchero Fornaciari, one of Italy's biggest rock stars, needed a demo singer for a duet he was writing with Luciano Pavarotti. The song, Miserere, someone recommended the blind lawyer who sang in bars. Andrea recorded the demo in a small studio in Pisa. Zucchero sent the tape to Pavarotti. The legendary tenor listened. Once. Then again, then a third time. He called Zucchero immediately. Don't change the voice. Whoever sang this demo should sing it on the record. But the record label said no. Andrea Bocelli was an unknown. A blind nobody. A lawyer who sang in bars. Pavarotti didn't care. He invited Andrea to perform with him at his charity concert in Modena in September. 1,990.1500 people attended. Andrea, 34, walked onto the stage holding a cane. He couldn't see the crowd. He could only feel their breath in the silence before he sang. Then he opened his mouth. The world stopped. 1994. Andrea won the Sanremo Music Festival, Italy's biggest music competition, with the song Il Mare Calmo della Sera. His debut album of the same name went platinum in Italy. Then came 1995. Celine Dion heard his voice and insisted he sing the duet, The Prayer, with her for the animated film Quest for Camelot in 1998. The song was nominated for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe. By 1997, his album Romanza became the best-selling album by an Italian artist ever, over 20 million copies worldwide. The single Con Ti Partiro, later recorded in English as Time to Say Goodbye with Sarah Brightman, became a global phenomenon. $15 million in sales for that single alone. Andrea Bocelli, the blind boy from Lajatico, was now performing for Pope John Paul II at the Vatican. For President Bill Clinton, at the White House, for 120,000 people at Central Park in 2011, one of the largest concerts ever held there. But what the world saw was triumph. What Andrea felt was lost. It is heartbreaking when success reveals the cracks in your foundation. Andrea had married his first wife, Enrica Cenzati, in 1992. He was 34. She was 24. They had two sons, Amos in 1995 and Matteo in 1997. By all accounts, they were happy, but fame is a thief, the constant travel, the performances, the pressure. By 2002, after 10 years of marriage, Andrea and Enrica separated. The divorce devastated him. I failed as a husband, he admitted years later. Success in music cannot heal failure in love. He saw his sons on weekends. He sang to sold-out crowds and returned to empty hotel rooms. Then, in 2002, the same year his marriage ended, his mother Edie was diagnosed with cancer. The woman who had described every sunset to him, who had refused to accept his blindness as a limitation, who had driven him to piano lessons and voice coaches and refused to let him quit. She was dying. Andrea canceled tours to sit by her bedside in Lajatico. He sang to her the same Puccini arias she had played for him as a child. Edie Bocelli died in 2006. Andrea was 48. He performed 3 days later in Vienna. He later said he didn't remember a single note. 1999. This moment has never been widely reported, but Andrea shared it in a rare interview in 2015. He was 41. His marriage was crumbling. His mother was beginning to show signs of illness. He stood at the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, a place he'd visited as a child when he could still see shadows. He thought about stepping forward, just ending it, not because of the blindness, not because of fame, but because he felt profoundly alone. I realized in that moment, he said, that music had become my prison. I sang for everyone else, but I had forgotten how to sing for myself. He stepped back from the edge. He went home and wrote a letter to his mother, confessing everything. She wrote back, "You are not here to be happy, Andrea. You are here to give happiness. There's a difference. That letter saved his life. 2014. Andrea Bocelli, 56, married Veronica Berti, his manager and partner since 2002. They had a daughter, Virginia, in 2012. Veronica was 30 years younger than him, but their connection was built on something deeper than age. She had been with him through his mother's death, through the guilt of divorce. Through the loneliness of hotel rooms. She didn't love Andrea Bocelli the tenor, she loved Andrea, the man who made jokes in Italian, who cooked pasta poorly, who played with his daughter using only sound and touch. Today, at 67, Andrea lives between Miami and Forte dei Marmi in Tuscany. His net worth is estimated at $100 million, but he still returns to Lajatico every year for the Teatro del Silenzio, the Theater of Silence, an open-air amphitheater he built on his family's land. One concert per year, that's it. The rest of the time, it's silent, a monument to listening, not just hearing. He has performed for popes, 3 U.S. presidents, Queen Elizabeth, President Emmanuel Macron of France. He sang Amazing Grace at the Statue of Liberty after September 11th. He performed at the opening ceremony of the 2006 Winter Olympics in Turin. He has 5 classical Brit awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, over 2.5 billion streams on Spotify alone. But his favorite performance? Singing Nessun Dorma to his daughter Virginia at bedtime. No audience. No applause. Just a father and a daughter, connected by sound. At 67, Andrea Bocelli stands as proof that vision is not the same as sight. From Lajatico to Carnegie Hall, from a soccer field accident at 12 to 300,000 voices singing with him in Central Park, from the edge of the Leaning Tower to the arms of a woman who saw him whole. He lost his eyes but found his voice. He lost his mother but kept her promise. He lost his first marriage but learned what love truly means. The world saw a blind tenor, but the truth was different. Andrea Bocelli was never blind. He simply learned to see with his soul. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Andrea Bocelli's voice reminded you that beauty still exists, even when we cannot see it.